Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. Today is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays, you ask me your questions, and I give you my answers. And this week, I have like a couple pages of questions, and I'm going to do my best to try to answer them all. If you have a question that you would like answered, please put it in the comments below. Actually, a few of these questions, there's a couple people that asked a couple questions, like extra sets of questions, so feel free to ask me whatever, and I'll try my best to answer everybody's questions, even if they have multiple questions. Okay, the first comes from Lady Pop Hunter. Great top 50. She saw my top 50 video. If you haven't checked out my top 50 video, I recommend you check it out. It's a pretty good video where I show my top 50 comics in my collection. In the background, you have a book, Phantom Witch Doctor. At some point, can you show the book and give a little background? Okay, there's not really much background to give about this book, but I will show it. I picked it up because it has a classic, golden age Precode horror cover. I really love it. It's just a beautiful cover. So this is the Phantom Witch Doctor. At one point, it was 5 cents. I don't know, but I wish I could have gotten it for 5 cents. So this one is, it says, what does it say? Only issue. Yeah, it is the only issue in the series. It ran 1 issue. I'm not sure why it didn't run any more issues than that. It was by Avon, and the artist is Everett Raymond and Kessler. And I'm not really familiar with that artist, but I do feel like it was a very beautiful rendering. This is just such a beautiful classic golden age Precode horror cover. A lot of collectors of Precode horror really buy based on the covers. So, if you look at the ones that are the most expensive books from the golden age for Precode horror, it is the ones which have the best covers. This is considered to be a lingerie cover. So this is kind of like she's wearing kind of like sort of almost like a see-through-y kind of like flowy gown. So it's considered to be a lingerie cover. So this is like a little bit more sought after than some of the other ones. Another thing that collectors will look for in a cover like this is the skulls. You'll see the skulls. Skull covers get usually, and especially if it's a giant skull, it'll get a little bit more attention. But collectors do look for those skull covers. And they also look for key artists, like, there's like a whole bunch of key artists. So, yeah, this is Phantom Witch Doctor number 1. Okay. Next, that was the first question. Next was from Polly76. Can you give some examples of key issues that have had the biggest fall from their peak value? X Factor 6, First Apocalypse comes to mind. Cheers. Actually, X Factor 6. So one of the things I kind of wanted to explain to people and about the biggest falls in prices. If you look at X Factor 6, yes, massive fall. It was a pretty expensive book, but that is in a 9.8. So generally, a lot of people collect based on the 9.8 grade. It has to be 9.8 to be investment worthy or something. And generally, that's not really true. It's not really true. And I kind of want to get people to move away from that mindset that any grade actually can be an investment quality grade, because what will end up happening is when books go up, it's that 9.8 that really hits. It really will spike, and what will end up happening is the 9.8s generally are the ones that get hit the hardest. So I'll give you a few examples of what I mean by that. And the first is actually with giant size X-Men. So giant size X-Men, which I have a 5.0, like it's a mid-grade. I didn't pay that much for it. I paid like under $1,000. It was like maybe $500. And, it went through the roof. In 2020 to 2021, it went crazy. And it had a record high sale in a 9.8 of $78,000. So big sale for Giant Size X-Men #1. And, that's a kind of a key issue. I mean, in a weird way, you'd think it should maintain that value because Giant Size X-Men really did save X-Men. It was the book that launched the whole new set of characters. It's almost like in my opinion, it's almost like a new series because it's like, X-Men had its characters and Giant Size X-Men said, hey, we're going to give a whole new group of characters. And it was its own thing. It's like Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm, just so many great characters came out of Giant Size X-Men. And so you'd think that kind of book would kind of hold its value. And a 9.8 is that investment grade. But if you fast forward to today, you can pick up that book for around $30,000. So just like went from $78,000 to $30,000. And that's in that 9.8, that high investment grade that everyone says investment grade, right? Well, if you look at the 1.0, which is like the entry level as you can get, it's the first grade that's complete. Well, that book had dropped, but not that significantly. So it dropped from it being around $2,000 book, around 2,000, like 1,800 to 2,000 range, to being around $1,400 to $1,600 range. So, little bit of a correction, but not that big jump that we saw within the high grade. And the reason for that is there's a lot more people who want the book and, they just can't afford the big price. So they just want that entry level book. And that 1.0 gives them that opportunity. So you'll notice that whenever there's a correction, the lower grades actually hold the value a bit better than the high grades. And there are exceptions to that. And, but that's what I've noticed. And that I did a whole series actually, and you can check in my video archives I was saying, are low grade books actually a good investment? And I was looking at books that were under a 2.0. So, and I looked at a bunch of examples and was really showing how lower grades could be good investments. Another book that has seen some pretty major corrections is Eternals #1. And this is one that everybody knows. Eternal movie didn't do that well. Though, people thought, oh, Eternals, it's done. There's not going to make another Eternals movie. But that's not true. Marvel really has committed to Eternals. And a lot of the characters for Eternals are kind of key characters that will be a major, factor within the next phase of the MCU. So Eternals, when it first was announced and first came out, there was a huge buzz. And it, the 9.8, it went from like a few $100 book, like it was like under 1,000, you could pick it up all day. It was almost like a dollar bin back issue. This is Eternals #1. I mean, when I picked it up, I think I paid $50, and mine's like in a 9 something. It's not like a 9.8, but it's a 9 something. I later picked it up again, but in a slabbed version. But it was a cheap book, is my point. When the whole buzz around it came out, it went up to a $3,000 book. 3,000. It was just insane how quickly it climbed in price. And that was for 9.8. 3,200 was a record sale. Now that same 9.8 goes for around $800. So it's 1/4 the price. It's dropped 75% of its value, just dead in the water. Even the lower grades, because it was such a dollar bin book anyways, the lower grades weren't really that stable either. They dropped significantly as well. But similar amounts to that high grade. So my point in that is even when the low grades get corrected just as much as the high grades, What'll end up happening is they'll correct in proportion. So generally what'll end up happening is, the 9.8 goes down 75%. Well, the 1.0 or some really low grade goes down 75%. But your initial investment, instead of being like $3,000, maybe it was like $100. So the point is the risk is also less at those lower grades. So I'm trying to really make the case for you in this topic to really show why low grades might actually be better investments. Just a little bit of feedback on this. Another big one was West Coast Avengers. And I actually just picked this book up again. I have 2 copies of it now. I'm going to have to, when it becomes hot again, I'll sell one of them maybe. So West Coast Avengers, is it 45? I believe it's 45. The one with White Vision. And I might be getting the number wrong. But a 9.8 during the peak, like when they announced that, White Vision's going to be in there, and it was like, oh my goodness, White Vision. And there was so much hype during the WandaVision show that book went up to a $1,500 book. And again, this is a book that was kind of not a dollar bin book, but kind of an inexpensive book in the back issues. And now that same book sells for anywhere from $300 on the low end to around $500. So it's corrected again down to maybe 30% of its value from that peak. I picked up a 9.6 for $60. Just like that shows you how much it has dropped. It's just, a 9.6, and if I crack it out, I could get it pressed and get that 9.8. So that's my point. It's really a book that has really corrected. So those are the 3 big ones that I can think of. Those are the big ones I could think of off the top of my head. But what I really want to tell you is, if you look, you could kind of do the same exercise with pretty much all of Marvel books from 2021. And I actually made a video. I warned people. I said, the prices are crazy. There's going to be a correction. And everyone like, you're insane. The market's so strong. And I did a video back in March of last year. And I was saying, I could see it, the perfect storm where prices are kind of going through the roof and they're going to correct. Now we're in the correction. People should have listened to me. But it's okay. I'm just joking. But the point is, what happened was it was Marvel books that experienced that massive price rate, growth in price. And what happened was DC was not in that mixture, which is a good thing, because now what we're seeing is an overcorrection for Marvel. So Marvel books, before this whole spike, had a certain value, let's say $100. Well, what we're seeing now is those books are selling for $90. So they've overcorrected. They've almost gone below what they should have, kind of gone. It's an overcorrection that will be recorrected, in the future. Like, we'll see those books kind of go back up, but not to those historic numbers until much, much later, unless they're big key books. But DC books, because they never had that massive swing in price, they are not experiencing that massive decrease in price. So a lot of DC books are actually good pickups right now and showing a nice growth in value. So something to consider. So I hope I gave a little bit more of an answer to that one, because I thought it was a good question. I really, really do like that question. Another question from Polly76. And actually, I wanted to tell Polly this. Polly, my nickname in university is Polly. Like, that was my nickname. Oh, everyone would call me Polly. That was kind of funny. Because my last name, it's a play off my last name. Are you familiar with the Golden Age title Clue Comics from Hillman Publishing. I don't recall seeing anything from this series on your channel. I think it would be up your alley. It features some really wacky heroes and stories. Thanks for sharing your amazing collection. I am familiar with Clue Comics. There's only really 2 or 3 covers that I really like, to tell you the truth. 14 being the big one that I've tried, like, I think I've seen it on auction once. Once I tried to get it, it went through the roof. It was pretty pricey. It's a great cover. So if you're not familiar with Clue Comics, they were sort of crime, horror, I don't know, crime books. And there was 2 volumes to it. I think the first volume lasted 7 issues. The second volume was like another 7 or 8 issues. It was 15 issues in all. And the way they numbered it was, even though the second volume was really, you know, it was just another year. It was just like, you know, it was like they continued the numbering with the second volume. But the point is, number 14 is a really cool cover. It has bondage, like this woman kind of strapped up to a wall. It has this guy bent over like an ironing board or something, and he's like got iron marks on his back. It's like people getting tortured and stuff. It's just a really crazy one. And 15 is actually kind of interesting. There's like this gun that's like aimed at the guy's face, and it's just like craziness. But it's like one of those guns like that's on a timer or something that's going to shoot him. You know, these kind of crazy covers. Some really cool covers. As I was mentioning earlier in this video, if it's a cool cover, collectors will generally chase after it, especially from the Golden Age. So those ones generally command big money, and I never seem to be lucky enough to win them. So yeah, so those are really great books. Next is from James P. Can you show / discuss Dynamic and Chesler Publishing Comics? I see your Punch Comics 13 in your collection, and I was wondering what else you have or what you like from that publishing. Okay, so I actually brought a bunch. So I'm going to show the Punch 13 first, since that's my only slabbed one from Kessler. So this is does it say Kessler? Yeah, it says Kessler. This is Punch 13, really great Golden Age, Precode horror, whatever you want to say. It's a great cover. I just like it. Skeleton hand and so forth. I just really like this book. Okay, that's the first one, but I don't really have that many, but I do have a few from Dynamic and Kessler. So I've been trying to get more Punch comics, and the next set of unboxings, like not the ones that are coming up, but I don't know how to describe it. Like I'm actually getting some boxes in 2 weeks maybe, and those will be I'll do the videos for those in November. So it's gonna be a ways away, but I'm getting a bunch of Punch comics and some other stuff in those unboxings that is related to this publisher. But I'll show you what I have. I only have a few books. So this is one of I like this cover a lot. This is Dynamic Comics 15. It's just a kind of a bit of a good girl art cover. You know, the guy is like mugging her or something. You don't know not really sure what's going on there. And then we got another Dynamic Comics 17. And this is one that was mentioned in Seduction of the Innocent. I believe it's because it's a hot poker. I think it's something like that. There's a story in it with the hot poker to the eye or something. Eye injury or something. So this is Dynamic Comics number 17. And you'll notice something unusual with Dynamic and Chesler. Chesler is they're all over the place. So that one looked like crime. This one looks like military, like cartoon. Like it's all over the place. And the same goes for Punch. So here's I showed Punch 13, and here's another. This is kind of like a superhero one where guy has like sort of like Cyclops eye, like he's like blasting the weird monster villain. You know, it's maybe sci-fi, like not sci-fi, but maybe horror, maybe superhero. You know, it's all over the place. And then we got another one from Punch. This is another Punch, which is like kind of good girl art, cartoony kind of style. So their comics, I don't know why, they just really couldn't figure out what they were about. Like they were like, you know, they'd be good girl art sometimes, they'd be horror sometimes, they'd be detective sometimes. They were just all over the place. So I enjoy Punch Comics. This is Punch Comics number 23, and I've been trying to pick up the complete runs. There are a few issues that are with amazing covers. It's like one with this big skull cover that everybody wants. That's really expensive, and I don't have it, and I probably won't be able to get it because it keeps on going up in price. That's sort of one of these grail books for the golden age, is in the Punch run. Okay, so I hope I answered that question reasonably well. Next question comes from Lyle Hobson. Hi, Alan. I love the Werewolf by Night 32. I wanted to compare something with you. If 180 of Incredible Hulk is a teaser for 181, why isn't Werewolf 31 not 32 as 31 is a teaser mentioning the last page mentioning Moon Knight? Werewolf by Night 31 can be climbing in value, but not as fast as 180 of Incredible Hulk. I hope this is not too confusing. Thank you. Okay, so here's the difference between 180 and 31, I guess. So 180, at the very end of Hulk 180, we got the reveal. In my opinion, the first appearance of Wolverine. Because the reason I say it's the first appearance of Wolverine is you see Wolverine. Like you see him full. You know, he's not like little guy in the shadows or anything, or the back of his head or something crazy like that. You see him full. He's in a full panel. And above it, it says Wolverine. It says Wolverine, and you know that character is Wolverine. Okay, so to me, that's kind of like a major appearance, but it's considered to be a cameo because it's not more intrinsic to the story and it's not multiple panels. So therefore, 180 is considered the cameo, and 181 where you see, you know, Wolverine on the cover and throughout the story. Therefore, it's his first full appearance. Now, the difference with Werewolf by Night 31 is if you read the story, at the very end of the story, it says, you know, it has like a line, Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight, enter Moon Knight or something like that. I believe it's something like enter Moon Knight or Moon Knight, like, you know, will appear next week, you know, next issue. Okay. But you don't see him. You don't see anything. You just see the name Moon Knight. So to me, that's not an appearance. And it's just, you know, it's cool that it says Moon Knight, but it's not an appearance. So therefore, without seeing the character, it doesn't really command the value that 180 does in comparison. So I think that's one of the big issues. Another big issue is, for the longest time, Hulk 180 was considered to be the first appearance of Wolverine. It was only after Overstreet Guide labeled it as being the 181 that was the first appearance that people switched, that the market actually switched to 181 being the key book. So it used to be like Marvel itself would always say that 180 was the first appearance of Wolverine. And so there's a bit of that too. So that kind of gave it a bit more prestige and value. So a little different. So I think the two stories are not really comparable. so that's why you get a bigger value for 180 compared to Werewolf by Night 31. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. And the next question is James P. again, actually. He asked me another question. Speaking of TMNT books, have you picked up Turtlemania Special #1, 1989, and released only 3,000 copies? Book is heating up. Believe it or not, I actually had 2 opportunities to pick that book up, and there's actually multiple versions of it, and I just never did. I don't know why. I just wasn't as interested in that book. And I could have picked it up. I think it was like a couple $100. Probably it's worth a lot more now. And even at the time, the guy that was trying to sell it was like saying, "Oh, it's really this is like a great book because it's really rare and all this kind of stuff." And it just, I don't know why, it just didn't appeal to me. I know it, and I just probably looking back, I should have probably picked it up. I could have gotten another, like the same vendor had like Foom as well, and I could have picked up Foom, which would have been really great. Which is the first appearance of giant size X-Men kind of related characters. So yeah, I kind of missed the boat on both of those books. Probably I should have picked them up. I could have gotten it both for very cheap at the time. And that was like 3 years ago. Yeah, something like that. It was like, I think it was 3 years ago, 2019. So wow. I'm a little bit nervous about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle books in general, to tell you the truth. What we saw with the market of the 2021 market, where the prices just kind of went through the roof. Well, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle books actually experienced that earlier. They got hot in 2020, and they kind of went through the roof, and they've been correcting ever since. So it could be the case that those books actually still have room to kind of come down and correct. So I'm a little bit nervous about buying them. It could be the case that I'm totally wrong on that, but you never know. It's one of those books that I actually thought the cover was okay. It's got a cute little island, and I think it's Leonardo lying on a hammock or something. I don't know. It's it's an okay book, but I didn't pick it up. Okay, Assist Official wrote, "Hi sir, sweet collection you have. I've been watching you for a while. Never commented as it was not something I really do. I have a question for you. Do you collect Star Wars comics? If so, do you have any Star Wars Clone Wars comics for sale?" I don't actually have any Star Wars Clone Wars comics for sale, but I do have Star Wars. So I have the complete run, the first run of Marvel's Star Wars, and also have where is it? The #1 and the last issue right there, like on the wall over there. So I have the complete run, and also I have like some of the key issues. I just recently picked up, and it'll be in the next big unboxing. Star Wars Clone Wars first issue with the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano. So those books I do collect, and actually I got Admiral Thrawn's first appearance as well, but I only have 1 copy of those, so I don't sell them. So I only sell things when I have multiple copies. I do happen to have copies of #2, 3, 4, and 5. I believe like doubles of those 3 issues, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I actually have 3 of those. I have newsstand, direct, and extra copies of those issues, and they're all in high grade, like really high grade, like 9.0s level. And those ones I tried to sell. Those were some of the books that I brought to the Toronto Comic Con, and the dealers weren't interested in them. So I do have them for sale. Maybe I I don't really actively sell my books, but I do have those books available. So if you're interested in early Star Wars books, like number 2 is the first appearance of Han Solo, you know, and I believe Yoda as well. I think so. No, not Yoda. What am I saying? That's totally wrong. Don't ignore that one. Chewbacca is the one I was thinking. You know, so I do have those books in my collection that are available to buy. Next question is another one from James P. James P asked me 3 questions this week. Just saying, James, you asked me a bunch of questions, but this is a great one, so I'm going to give you 3 questions. Can you spotlight Rulah covers? Okay, so I actually brought a bunch of stuff for Rulah because I like Rulah a lot. One sec here. Oh yeah. Oof. So Rulah, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory about Rulah. I always forget her name. Jane Dodge is her real name. So Jane Dodge is this kind of American, like, socialite. She was a rich woman, bored, and decides to fly to Africa. And as she's flying to Africa, she crashes and is left in the jungle and becomes like a jungle woman. That's kind of her story. That's her origin. She finds like a skin of a giraffe or something, and she uses that to form sort of like this bikini outfit that she wears. So her first appearance, and she's on the cover, is in Zoot. This is Zoot number 7. So that's Rulah. That's what she looks like, and that's her giraffe costume, giraffe like bikini set, I should say. So that's Rulah. This is Zoot 7. Really great book. I really like Rulah. And she also would appear in All Top, which is another series. And here's another Rulah cover. It's All Top, Rulah. Isn't that great? So a lot of the artists that would do the Rulah like covers would be either Matt Baker or Jack Kamen. So, you know, and they were really great. They have some really awesome covers. So this is All Top. And another All Top. This is not a Rulah cover, but just another All Top. But here's one of my favorite all-time Rulah covers. I just love this cover. This is All Top. What number is it? I always forget the number though. One sec here. I gotta look at the back here. Oh yeah, I was right. I was actually gonna say the right number. It's All Top 10, and it's just like there's Rulah, and she's fighting against this little pygmy dude. And there's a woman in bondage in a bikini. It's just so much awesomeness. And she's going to get sliced by this weird saw thing. And just really great cover. So All Top 10. And this one, I have, it's in really rough shape. It's just that somebody wrote on it. I don't know why they wrote on it. This is like Zoot number 9. Somebody, see how they put marker all over the person's face? I don't know why they did that, but this is Rulah on the side there, and you can see really great. Rulah's last book was this is Rulah 27, I believe is the issue number. It's the last of her own series. So she was in All Top, she was in Rulah, and she was in Zoot. Those were the 3 big series. So the way it worked was the numbering in Zoot continued on into Rulah. So they renamed the series Rulah. So actually, if you collect the All Tops, it's kind of weird actually, or the Zoots, I should say. They start out with being like cartoony, and then they become like they get into this jungle girl stuff. So this is Rulah, and then I have 2 more Rulahs to show. Then we got number 21. It's another good girl art cover, and she's like saving the woman from the lion. Bit of a headlight cover too. And then we have one that was mentioned in the Seduction of the Innocent. This is another Rulah one. I think this one was mentioned in Seduction and Innocence. I'm trying to remember the reasoning. I think it was because of some historical, like they tried to make comics educational, and they would put in like a little insert like into the book to like pretend that it was like educational, like some like historical thing. And I think that's what this one was. It had some like weird historical thing, and Wortham thought that that was just really try hard. Not really, doesn't really compensate for the fact that the books feature a lot of scantily clad women and violence. So a lot of all these books came from Fox Publishing, which was very interesting publisher that just had the most outrageous stories and stuff. So this is Rulah. These are all from the early, I should say, late 40s. So those are my Rulah collection. And I'm always trying to get more Rulahs, but you know, they're hard to get, actually. They're hard to find. So I'm picking them up as I see them, as they come up for auction and stuff. Okay, the last question, and this is from Janet Bailey. Do you have any Bernard Bailey covers from the Golden Age, especially Spectre? So, believe it or not, I only have the one Spectre comic, and I'll actually have to grab it. I had to grab it. So this is my Spectre, my More Fun Comics number 55. So yeah, it's great. This is Bernard Bailey. I actually have some Precode horror books from Bernard Bailey as well. What I wanted to tell you is that I plan to do a spotlight video on Bernard Bailey. I wanted to pick up a few more books in my collection first related to Bernard Bailey before I did that, though. So it is something that you will see. It's something I'm working on. But I am trying to pick up more Bernard Bailey covers. He has some really great Golden Age horror covers that I actually have a couple of them. And I plan to do a spotlight on Bernard Bailey because he is one of the big artists from the Golden Age. He's most well known maybe for his Spectre and his work on More Fun Comics. I'm not sure if he was the one. No, I was just thinking. I was wondering if he did some other books that I had on my wall, but I just quickly read them. No, I don't have anything handy, but I do plan to do the spotlight, so stay tuned for that. I hope you will enjoy that when I put it out. Okay, so that's it. Those are your questions for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscription thingy, and click the bell. Actually, click the bell. People need to click the bell. Like, that bell has to be clicked because I think a lot of people are missing out on my videos. So I think if you click the bell, you won't miss any more videos. And I do show some pretty cool things. So I hope you click that bell and see my future videos. So bye for now.